My mother and dad both were extreme alcoholics, you know, and neither one of them wanted me or my sister, so they give you away here and there, you know. So finally, I wound up living out there in Leeper, out there at Forest Home, that little store there, and I lived back there where that barn was. And we had nothing, there was a porch, but I didn't realize it, and we sharecropped. I didn't realize lately, the only reason we sharecropped, cause they didn't wanna work, they was lazy. But we had nothing, had one bed, and there was 8 more of us in the other room, just lived on cover, wall to wall. And if you didn't kill a squirrel or something, you didn't have no gravy for breakfast, you know. And this truck, that ran down the street, Wayne Tomlin, sometime on Saturday, about once a month, he would come up and take us up to Charlotte Pike to a grocery store. I'd sit on the back of the old truck. And there's a place over there called High's Pawn Shop. And I'd look in the window, and that's the only man I ever seen that had guitars that worked on electric guitars. So I told him, of course I didn't have a shirt, just some cut-offs, and I said, I'll clean your windows and your bathroom every time I come up here if you'll give me some parts. I can't talk loud, I had throat surgery this week. So he gave me a shoebox full of parts. I made my guitar, and there was an old store like it, it fell down, so I took the countertop, and it took me forever because we didn't have tools back then, you know. We didn't have anything, but there was an old blacksmith. I walked down there about 5 miles away, and everything about this thing worked. You couldn't tell me it wasn't the greatest guitar on earth, you know. The electric part works.
Yeah.
Alan Jackson, of course, he signed it, and I cut this out of the countertop, put this on Pine Ridge around there.
I see that.
Made that red paint,
That's up your alley, Kerry.
but he,
So are you better on guitars or countertops?
no, it took me forever. You couldn't tell me that wasn't the greatest thing on earth, you know.
That's cool.
You
And,
said that's actually Alan Jackson's signature?
Yeah, Alan and his daughter, she's a good friend of mine.
That's just, Maddie is Alan's hobby.
Yeah, Don knows her, and she's my good buddy. She and I go and eat chocolate of every kind.
So do you still see them to this day?
Oh, yeah, and so anyway, that started me off. And then,
So you were working up at the pawn shop to what? Earn money to buy the parts?
no, he gave me the parts. I would clean his window and bathroom, and
Yeah.
he'd give me a shoebox with scrap parts.
Wow.
So then he let me lay a piece of cardboard down and draw one of those guitars.
Yeah. The
So
shape.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
It was just an old Silvertone back then, the only guitar he had. So
Are all the electronic guitars that skinny? I mean, that looks like the iPhone of guitars. I always thought guitars were like 4 inches.
Well,
They're fat.
I've got them different sizes. Now, it's like everything else, I have 40 guitars.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, my mother left when I was 1 year old. So I didn't see her anymore. Daddy was a beer joint guy and a fighter and a woman man. He didn't want us. So he put us out there, and he agreed to buy their sugar and lard and country gentleman tobacco if we could just live there forever. So he'd come out there once a month, and we had no electricity in us, never. And he'd bring an old car, his car sat under the tree, and we listened to Grand Ole Opry and Armstrong record shop.
On the car radio.
Yeah, and we'd have to push it off.
To get it started again.
Battery go down, and so I had, on Sunday, sometime we had a guy walk up there, he'd have a guitar, and Grandpa would play an old band, and they did a lot of country music, you know. But then he found a place for me in town. Well, my mother came back first, when I was 6 years old, picked me up where I stand, wanted to see me. And I remember she came back with a guy she had married. He was a prisoner, just got out of prison. His name was D.L. Thurman. So they got tired of me out of Leapers Fork. There's an old dirt road there, and there's a house back there. And they said, Junior, go up that dirt road there and run up there to that house and tell them we're down here, to come down here. And I went up there like a fool, and they took off, you know. so I didn't see her anymore, but that goes to another story in here too. You remember when I saw her last, I was 6. So then I moved to Nashville. Daddy had some woman up there that he never come by, but every 2 or 3 weeks to change shirts. He drank all the time. And right behind Sweats off of Jefferson Street, right back of that, I was probably the only white kid I ever seen over there. And I went to school over at Cone High School.
Yeah.
And they laughed at me, and so that's why I quit. But I wore this same shirt every day. It didn't have no buttons or no buttonholes. And that goes to my shirt problem in life I have. But they laughed at me. It was a yellow flour sack with no buttons and buttonholes. So finally I just quit school. I get to go back. And
What year was this now?
oh Lord, it's about 1950 or something like that. I don't know.
So what grade was it when you quit?
Quit at the 7th grade.
Yeah.
And so I started working around town then. I had to get working papers to get a job. I moved across town, I run off from home. Cause Daddy come over there when I was about 12 or 13. And he was sick and been drinking over there behind Sweats. And he told me to take this pistol, it's a 38 chrome pistol, 2 blocks down on the corner, and ask for a lady named Celine and tell her that he's sick to swap it, hold this gun and give me a pint of whiskey for her. So I did that. And that was, I mean, we weren't just trash, we were white trash. I never had shoes or anything, you know. All the boys I played with were black. We'd play marbles in the yard, no grass. And I'd walk down to a place called Clifton Avenue. And I've never seen or heard this kind of music. There's a black church there. And I sat out on the front, you know, and I liked the music. That's how I got into the blues world. And then I liked that music, and so I'd do that, so I got my harmonica a little later on. And I'd go around the clubs, and I'd sit in with guys and play and sing blues, you know. So this fella come up to me, hauling home. Am I taking too much time?
No.
He came up and
You have till Friday.
he says, I like what you're doing. I didn't even have a change of clothes. And he said, we're gonna put a group together, a special group, and we'd like to have you in it. You know, I said, yeah, there's many of those people around, you know. So I never had even seen a picture of New York. I didn't know what New York meant. So I went to New York and I was just scared to death.
Sure.
You know, scared out of my mind. And this was a little beer joint to start with on 45th Street. So we went to the studio and we had the Starlighters, a group called Starlighters, Joey D and me.
Billy, yeah.
And the other guy. And we went in there in about 8 or 10 minutes. We cut Peppermint Twist.
Oh, yeah.
And so the next day, the Peppermint Lounge came the biggest thing in the world.
Wow.
So you did the
I was
original
going crazy.
Peppermint Twist song?
Yeah, and so we did that.
What were you playing on that?
Oh, we had to have 3 guys up front up there,
Oh,
just
okay.
singing and dancing. We did all the
Okay.
dances, every dance was out. So Joey D wanted to keep the Starlighters, and so I started another group called the Clefs. And that was there's the old Peppermint Lounge wall, and that was the Starlighter group. And then I switched to the Clefs.
Now, which one are you here?
Yeah, that's me here. That's me here.
Right there.
Which,
You
and which one
pointed
are
it.
you in this one?
That's me.
Three different
Farthest one
guys.
on the right.
That's the Clefs. So anyway, that money became the biggest thing in the whole world. So Joey D was gonna, he wanted to take off and hit the road, you know, and tour. And so I was thrilled and honored.
We got one. Jim.
There's one over here.
They offered me a chance to sign like a 15-year contract, and I said, who would ever thought this is great? And I said, I don't wanna travel, if they're gonna pay me the same thing, just staying here and working every night.
Yeah.
Joey
Hey, John.
D hit the road and just traveled except.
Now, this is in New York where you're
Yeah,
living.
Yeah.
45th Street, I lived in Knickerbocker Hotel next door. So what they had done is opened 3 more. So when this closed, it was the weirdest thing you ever seen. This one closed, you go to 71st Street Causeway in Miami. And I stayed at Fountain Blue. And 3 doors down with Jackie Gleason and Sammy Davis Jr. So they sent me there. And I was just always lost. They called me a country Okie up there in New York because I went in to a restaurant there and I ordered sweet milk.
As opposed to butter.
Hey, Joey, you got any milk with sugar in it back there? And then I ordered light bread, and that was worse. So I would never go back in there anymore. I went across the street to a little corn automat. I don't know if you ever saw one.
Yeah, where you put the coin.
Put nickels in there and get vegetables. But I had to learn, all us country guys had to learn how to live in New York.
Sure.
I'd never even seen anything like that. You gotta come out the door and know which way you're going, you know? And, so that was a big part of my life, but I didn't realize when I signed all these contracts that was 7 nights a week, you know, for 15 years. So I worked up there for Paul Castellano, New York. He was my boss. And then I had 3 years with Sammy Giancana at the Golden Nugget out in Vegas. And then I'd go from there to New Orleans, Carlos Marcello.
So you were actually working for the mafia?
Oh, yeah, but I didn't know what that meant either. Paid paychecks for me.
You knew what the guy's name was.
I loved, I knew that's great money. I never had nothing like this in my life, you know, just anything I could imagine a woman I had, except you can't quit. You know, and I said, well, I think I'm gonna go leave and go back for a while. They just laughed, said, go down and get your suit, charge it to us, you know. So my best friend, I worked in Louisiana there, and then, of course, Bobby had something against all those guys or something.
Yeah.
They came and got my boss and put him in court, you
That's
know.
Sam
and lost the
Giancana.
case on it. They took him to Guatemala. They kidnapped him, took him to Guatemala, and put him in a jungle. They thought he'd never come back, but somehow he made his way back. And he had promised everybody that they would die, both of those guys, you know. And when I was down there, Oswald was right in front of his office there handing out pamphlets from Russia and everything, different places. So this
When
was-
you were in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I worked there, and, for this trumpet guy, he always worked with me, you know, there, he'd work in between shows. But most of these shows that they did, we'd have 3 to 4 bands. So when you work your show and take a break, you gotta find something to do for 2 or 3 hours. So in New York, I'd never heard of that. I walked up to, Rocket thing that to watch them ice skate.
Oh,
show.
Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I'd walk up there at night and watch them. One night I walked down to Central Park and my boss just went nuts. They come finding me, you know. Said, you don't walk down in there at midnight, you know. That was weird. You know, you walk to the, I told my bass player, I said, let's walk down to that big building there. It's only about a block or 2 away, it looks like. We walked, Empire State Building,
Yeah, yeah,
all those
exactly.
things. And I'd never heard of Times Square. I go down there and sit, and I say, well, they talking about Times Square, but I don't know what it means. So I was really country. But when we went to Miami there, I worked for 6 or 8 weeks with Dale Hawkins. He just came out with Suzy Q, and it was really big. It's done hit go, and we'd go off, and I'd stay out that night, and I said, Dale, I'm gonna have to go because I won't be able to do my show tomorrow. And this is about 2 or 3 years later after I got into this work for them. And Dale said, here, take this, you'll do your show. He gave me a little
Pill.
Benson tablets, you know, a square one. So I did. I took, because I had a high-powered show. I practiced every day 2 hours just doing the dances, you know. We had to do all of those.
So you danced too, as you played your
Oh,
music?
Yeah, I wouldn't quit till I had a puddle of sweat that and I had to do all the dances, and even the waitresses had to do them. And our first dancer in New York was Goldie Hawn.
Oh, really?
Yep, and one of the guys that stood with me on the front line, Joey, little Joey, that's Joe Pesci.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he was part of our group. And Goldie Hawn, you hear her giggling out everywhere, you know, but she was a dancer then.
She was almost a kid
Yeah.
then, though.
Nothing but movie stars came there to Peppermint Lounge. Her Shelley Winters was there every night, you know. And cause every age could do the twist, everybody, you know, and it just became big. So when I went to Miami, I was working with Dale Hawkins for 6 weeks. Now, when we got to Miami, that would freak you out too, that we'd leave, and the time I got to Miami, my bus and everything, we got there and we'd have the exact same waitresses, exact same bartenders, cooks and everything, you know.
They just
They go
transferred
down on a
everything.
boat or something. I said, man, this is getting weirder and weirder. Okay, so I stayed out with Dale one night. He gave me that pill. Next day, you know, he gave me a couple more, and I said, boy, I could really work on these things.
You think we could pause long enough to get our guest out of the rising sun? Maybe swap with.
Yeah, if you wanna move your chairs around, you're looking right.
Or just swap with somebody, just,
That's all right.
yeah, there you go.
Just swap with us.
So sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt
Right
anything,
here
but
with
it
this
just,
stuff. So, anyway, Jimmy Clanton, he was down there. I don't know if you know who he is till I tell you. But Jimmy Clanton, he just had a gold record out and just sold a million. It's just a dream, just a dream. So we had been out all night, but this picture here means a lot because he was such a perfect little guy, and Dick Clark was gonna be there to Peppermint, that's a great Peppermint Lounge wall, but Dick Clark was gonna be there to interview him and all. And we had been out, and they had just gave me a ticket, my card to the Bonnie Club, which is nothing compared to today, you know, they had on bathing suits.
It was a big deal then.
Yeah, and he had lost a button just when they was gonna put him on camera. He had lost a black button on his coat. I said, well, I got some buttons up here at my place, and all I have is a white one, so I sewed it on his coat there. He went on, Dick Clark with that,
Pass that around.
and but that's worth keeping to me. And then Barney liked all these pictures. These are people here in town that I've done things with or for at the Grand Ole Opry. I have a publishing company here, I opened a publishing company up on Music Row and a studio, and,
You're doing that now?
no, I'm retired now, but my friends, Roger Miller and some of them wanted me to come and start writing country, and I said, how am I gonna write 1,000 songs that sound just alike?
About pickup trucks and dogs. Drinking beer.
Joel
Leon, you've already
Bainbrook-
gone through about that many songs and everything you said. You could write a country song about every song you
Yeah,
made.
well, first thing you know, I've done written 140 of them. I guess it all, they start off the same, but they change.
Didn't
But
you
Joel
write,
Bain-
turn on your love lights, baby?
Yeah, turn on, I was gonna tell you about that.
Okay.
I have this is what I was put in the Hall of Fame, and I'm proud of this one, cause Louisiana's all blues. And so I made the Hall of Fame down there. I got a big one out in the car, and I just see no sense in bringing the whole thing in. But that's turn on your love lights, but in Nashville here, I don't know if you remember or not, but back then, they weren't allowed to play my music till after midnight. It was called Ernie's Record Mart, something down on Second Avenue.
Ernest Tubbs Record Shop.
Ernie Record Mart, something, but they wasn't allowed to play my kind of music till after midnight at night,
Yeah. On WSM.
whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
And, but it was Ernie's Record Store down on Second Avenue.
Still there.
And,
Well, the sign's
so,
still.
but in Louisiana, on that song, I was putting the Louisiana Hall of Fame for it. And then, if you got a phone in here with you, if you could look up, Key and Rockabilly, ROCKABILLY, Rockabilly Hall of Fame.com. All one, my Rockabilly's on them. And that'll help a lot too.
Jackson, Tennessee.
When that comes up, just punch in Leon Martin, Leon Martin.
Oh, my.
And you wrote Turn On Your Love Lights, what year was that?
Yeah, for sure.
I did it, 58, and Bonnie Blueland did it, and, I don't know if Jerry Lee did it or not, Delbert McClinton did it. And, I had it, the first same guy that wrote with me on that, Turn On Your Love Lights, wrote Peppermint Twist.
Oh.
Yeah. But I recorded it with Atlantic Records back then. And I was the first white blues artist on Atlantic Records. And the first one on Mercury Monument Records.
Oh, man, I got bad news for you, Leon.
What's that?
They've dropped you.
No, it's on there somewhere.
Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N.
Yeah.
I did it the other way around. I
And it's
Googled.
Leon Smith, Leon Bass, Leon Smith.
How about Buford
That's
Leon?
from 59, I believe, I don't know.
His first name is Buford, I believe.
You think it's under Buford? Let's try that.
So you still get royalties, or is your money still flowing in like you
Oh,
like?
yeah, well, I get a lot of royalties now because all of these is, anyway, I don't know if you know much about Myrtle Beach or not, but their culture is shag dancing.
Ah,
They call it shag dancing, so I went over and studied their beat, so every month I get one of these, and even after I'm dead, I'll still be in the top, I'll have the top 15 over there. Cause I went and, studied their music, and then I started cutting records for that. So I'm over there, every time a kid gets 18, or they have those dances twice a year or something, I always sell the same amount of records, and that many of them, all
neat.
but I'm gonna tell you here, back to my mother, I hadn't seen her about, since I was 6, this is weird. Joel Badenberg, he was a friend of mine, he helped me get started. He owned the Jolly Rogers in Prentice Valley. And he called me in New York and asked me on my way through, sometime I could do personal shows, on the way to Florida, if I would come up there, because Boots Randolph was fixing to open a place called the Carousel. So anyway, came in and did that. And I was gonna tell you, it was big opening night, that was in the paper.
The group just closed at Peppermint Lounge.
And, we had the line outside, just all lined up and all, and I got ready to come on.
Direct from the Peppermint Lounge.
Yeah, I got ready to come on stage, and all this crowded out here, and bouncers and this noise, and that was my drunk mother hollering, "That's my Judy son." That's the only way I've ever heard God's name mentioned in my family.
Oh, my God.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was
And
just
where was this? This was
in
in,
Jolly Rogers. up
here in
there.
Nashville?
Yeah, I came in.
How old were you then? About, I mean,
I don't know,
20s.
25, 30. But that's when I saw her the next time. Tootsie was a good friend of mine in the old days. Her husband, a lot of people didn't know his Big Jeff. He had a call boogie in it.
Oh.
So Tootsie was a good friend of mine. I went down to say bye to her before I left town. And I looked out the window, and there's that lady falling down, crawling across the street. She saw me go in there. And I went in that restroom and stayed an hour and 45 minutes till she left. That's the last time I saw her. But that was just terrible that night, her doing that. So anyway, that's good.